Welcome to the HomeBoiz channel for the Master of Faster tournament, where we have a clash of colossal powers once more. On the left side, we will be welcoming to the stage a man chosen to lead the Azure, a knight who guards the Bifrost, Halldor of Team Ragnarok! On the right side, familiar with this deck, but new to this opponent, we have Team 5D's Trickmaster, Satellite Zone, Crow the Bullet Hogan! You know what comes next, and Halldor is up first. Representing the entirety of his team, Halldor is playing all three branches of the Nordic monsters: Thor's Beasts, Loki's Alfars, and Odin's Ascendants. The entire purpose of the main deck monsters is to achieve a level 10 Synchro Summon to bring forth the Lords of the Azure. While his spell and trap support all of his monsters, Azure monsters can all revive themselves during the end phase if they were destroyed and sent to the graveyard, then bring a new power to the duel. Loki can negate a spell or trap when he attacks, and when he's revived, he brings a trap card with him. Thor negates and steals a monster's effects for the whole turn, and on revival, deals 800 points of damage. And finally, Odin negates all spell and trap effects that would affect the polar gods, and upon revival, you get an extra draw. His ultimate trap card is Gjallarhorn, which counts down until it banishes Halldor's monsters and combines their attack for direct damage. As if you didn't have enough to worry about, his side deck has the god-gifted Gullveig, who is a factory for the polar gods' summoning requirements, along with countless more resources to be tapped into. But if there's any duelist who can defy the odds, it's this next one. Crow's Black Wings have made more competitive history with their ahead-of-their-time consistency, so this deck needed a major nerf. It not only runs a lot of unconventional monster choices, but it's unbelievably trap-heavy like many other 5D's decks, along with being 50 cards deep. There's no singular way to describe his cards as they have so many effects: floating, swarming, hand traps, negates, revives, destructions. This deck is a jack of all trades in terms of potential. The one thing they do definitely do above anything is summon synchros with a range of level 5 all the way through 10, being summonable from the extra deck. The side deck takes an unexpected turn by focusing on his boss, the Black Winged Dragon, and its ability to absorb, burn, and reflect it to your opponent. He gains another boss as well in the Full Armor Master, who can steal enemy monsters and is completely unaffected by card effects. So, while the polar gods of the Azure are a threatening and mighty force, each duelist does have a fair shot. Let's see what happens now. Ready, set, duel! We are diving straight into the first round of this duel. Hopefully it's going to be an incredibly entertaining one, and we are absolutely shocked, flabbergasted by this first move of Crow Hogan, setting only a single monster, not any card to be found in his back row, and passes his turn. Does he have something up his sleeve, or is he simply underestimating Halldor? We'll see in a moment as Halldor sets a card in his back row and summons Tangrisnir of the Nordic Beasts, a 1200 attack level 3 beast monster who, upon battle destruction being sent to the graveyard, will summon 2 level 3 tokens that can be used for a synchro summon. He plays a second card in the back row before swinging into the face down Panaki, the Waxing Moon, with 1000 defense, easily destroyed. However, Panaki's effect activates once it gets destroyed by any means, targeting a Blackwing card in the graveyard and adding it to the hand, so Crow gets Panaki back instantly. I haven't a single idea what the purpose of this play was, but we're gonna have to see what he comes up with. He normal summons the Panaki again, and then he activates the spell card, Cards for Black Feathers. Sending a Blackwing from his hand to the graveyard in order to draw 2 cards, he pitches his Orochi the Squall. He sets a card finally and enters the battle phase, attempting to suicide with the Tangrisnir. But Halldor activates the face-down trap card, Nordic Relic Megingjord. Targeting an Azure or Nordic monster, he gets to double its original attack and defense until the end of this turn, bringing Tangrisnir up to 2400. So, Tangrisnir would win this battle, but Crow activates the Kaluta Moon Shadow, a monster effect from the hand. By discarding Kalut, Crow gets to add its 1400 points of attack to the attack of Panaki the Waxing Moon, allowing it to beat over Thungrisnir for 200 damage. However, Halldor does get 2 level 3 tokens that he gets to utilize now, and Crow ends his turn. We'll see if this results in a synchro, and it just might, as Halldor summons Vanadis, the level 4 tuner monster. With the ability of Vanadis, Halldor can send a Nordic monster from the deck to the graveyard in order to copy that monster's level, and he'll activate this ability, sacrificing Svaltaf, a level 5 tuner monster. Now, using the level 5 tuner Vanadis and the 2 level 3 tokens, he synchro summons the Star Eater, a level 11 synchro with 3,200 attack to its name. Crow cannot respond to its synchro summon with any effects whatsoever, and whenever Star Eater attacks, no abilities can be activated until the damage step is over. So a truly formidable opponent. However, after the damage step is over, Panaki still can activate its ability, adding itself to the hand. Not the Kalut, not the Orochi. Really have no idea what he's doing here, recycling the same monster over and over. He's making zero leeway. Halldor plays a monster face down and activates his field spell, the Nordic Lights. While it's face up on the field, Nordic monsters on the field cannot be destroyed by battle. However, if the Nordic Lights gets destroyed, so do all Nordic monsters that are on the field. This time, the Panaki dies, and Crow does add the Kalut to his hand before going into his next turn. He now summons a different monster, thank God. Shura, the Blue Flame with 1800 attack, sets 2 cards and enters the battle phase against the Star Eater, whose ability only activates when he's the one attacking you. So, this gives Crow the room to activate Kalut the Moon Shadow once more for a suicide, and ends his turn with no monsters on his field, but a threatening back row presence. Halldor would flip over his face down Thangyoster of the Nordic Beasts, and when it goes from defense to attack position, he gets to summon any Nordic beast from the deck in defense mode. So he brings out the level 4 tuner Goldfoxy of the Nordic Beasts. Now he normal summons Yosaf of the Nordic Alfar, who on summon can special summon another Nordic card from the hand whose level is equal to or lower than the combined total of Yosaf plus one other monster on the field. He does not have a target at this moment though, so he'll simply go into the battle phase, swing with Dangyosner, and swing with Yosaf, leaving Crow below half-life at 3,800 points. He normal summons on his next turn the Gale the Whirlwind, whose ability activates to permanently cut somebody's attack and defense in half, targeting the Yosaf. But Halldor activates the Nordic Relic Gungnir, banishing it from the field and destroying one other card that's on the field, popping the Gale the Whirlwind. But Crow gets to activate his face down card now, Fake Feather. By pitching a Blackwing from the hand to the graveyard, he gets to copy the effect of a normal trap card in the opponent's grave without having to pay the same cost. So he gets to use the ability of Gungnir for himself now to pop a card on the field, and he chooses the field spell, the Nordic Lights, which, for one reason or another, did not get destroyed from the field whatsoever. I'm not sure if this is some sort of glitch going on. It is highly unfortunate, though, that Crow did not get that resolution that he sought for. For Halldor's turn, he activates the equip spell, Nordic Relic Draupnir, targeting an Azure or Nordic monster and giving it 800 attack. So Goldfoxy is up to 2,400, as strong as a Synchro monster itself. He also switches Thangyoster into defense mode so that he could potentially use its effect again next turn. Entering the battle phase, he attempts to swing for 2,400, and we see a chain of events take place here. First, Chain Link 1. Crow activates Hillen the Tengu Wind from the graveyard. This monster was sent to the graveyard thanks to the effect of Fake Feather earlier. And when a direct attack is declared, or when he takes 2,000 plus battle damage, Hillen the Tengu Wind summons itself along with a level 3 or lower Blackwing from the graveyard. However, this effect can only be used once per duel. Chain Link 2, Blackwing Backblast. The counter trap card gets activated. When the opponent declares a direct attack, and you have 5 or more Blackwing monsters in the grave, all monsters on the opponent's field get destroyed, and the Nordic Lights only protect you from battle destruction, so Halldor's field is barren. He sets another card to no avail as Crow flips over Delta Crow Anti-Reverse, destroying all of his face-down spell and trap cards. Now, on his next turn, he gets to tune his level 3 Kaluthamun Shadow with his level 5 Healing the Tengu Wind for the Black Feather Dark Rage Dragon. 2,800 directly, dropping Halldor to 5k. It's Halldor's turn, and he has to top deck. He has no other resources to rely on. He sets a monster though, and since enough turns have passed, thanks to the effect of Gungnir, he gets Yosef back, but it returns in the original position that it left in, which is attack position, leaving his life points vulnerable to another attack. Crow activates Blackwing Strafe, a spell card that pitches a Blackwing from the hand to the graveyard in order to send a defense position monster on the opponent's side of the field to the graveyard. So he cannot rely on the Nordic Light to keep his face-down tuner monster Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendants, and he'll use Black Feather Dragon to swing in for 1,400 damage against Yosef and end his turn. Halldor top decks this time the Nordic relic Hilskjalf. Hilskjalf will special summon a Nordic from the deck, but he can only summon Azure monsters from the extra deck while he has that monster picks up on the field, and he picks the level 5 tuners Svaldaf of the Nordic Alpha. He does not have an ability he can use, but he gets to switch his 2 monsters into defense mode and stall thanks to the ability of the Nordic Lights. Next, Crow summons the Blackwing Mistral the Silver Shield and uses the effect of Boreas the Shark from the graveyard. Banishing it from the graveyard, he can target a monster that's on his field, targeting the Dark Rage Dragon, and allow it to not only prevent any life point damage in a battle that it's involved in to Crow's life points, but at the end of the damage calculation, the opposite monster gets destroyed by Boreas' ability. This bypasses the Nordic Lights once again, getting rid of another tuner monster on Halldor's field. He'll activate the Hilskjalf from the graveyard though, banishing itself in order to add the Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendants from the deck to the hand, and then sending it back from the graveyard to the hand, and then sending it back into the deck. Halldor will set a monster now, and call it a turn. Crow switches his Mistral the Silver Shield into defense mode, swings into the face down monster just so we can see what it is, and ends his turn there. Halldor has no other plays he can make, but he's comfortable with his field spell, so he passes back as well. And Crow special summons Bora the Spear from the hand since he had another Blackwing on the field, and tunes Bora the Spear, a level 4, with the level 2 tuner Mistral the Silver Shield for Boreas Storm the Wicked Wind, a level 6 Synchro monster who allows him to throw away a Blackwing from the deck, and he'll toss out Vayu the Emblem of Honor. He'll also special summon Gale the Whirlwind from the hand since he has another Blackwing on his side of the field. Now, Gale the Whirlwind will activate its effect, targeting the Gangyoster, cutting its attack and defense in half. And let's not forget the effect of Boreas Storm from earlier. Not only did he throw away a monster from the deck, but he gets to change his level to the level of the monster that he pitches, making Boreas Storm a level 1 tuner Synchro. So after the effect of Gale resolves, he's going to tune the level 8 Dark Rage Dragon with the level 1 Boreas Storm for the level 9 Assault Blackwing Kusanagi the Gathering Storm. 3,000 points to its name. And when it gets Synchro Summoned, it gains the attack of all the Blackwing Synchros that were used as its material until the end of this turn. On top of all of this, Kusanagi can inflict piercing battle damage. So with a humongous 5,400, he pierces through Dong Yilster and steals game 1 of this duel. Round 1 had all sorts of fascinating twists and turns, and I'm hoping for that same level of energy in this second round. Crow's going first yet again, setting 2 cards face down and normal summoning Blackwing, Ouster the South Wind, a 1,300 attack, level 4 tuner monster, and he'll end his turn. Halldor is going to activate Nordic Relic Hilskjalf, who did a lot of work for him in the last round. Let's see if it keeps it up this time. Special summoning the Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendant from the deck. And then he'll normal summon another copy of Valkyrie from the hand. And using its effect, he'll pitch 2 cards from the hand to attempt to summon 2 level 4 tokens. And Crow will activate his face-down Black Winged Arrow, negating the effects of any monster that is on the field. So Valkyrie has caused Halldor to go -2 in the worst possible way. With no other moves he can make, he thankfully has the Swords of Revealing Light that he can rely on. So until Crow's third end phase from now, Crow will not be able to declare any attacks. Drawing a card, he'll T-set and pass. Halldor will now activate the Hilskjálf from the graveyard, banishing it in order to add the Dvarg of the Nordic Alfar from the deck to the hand and placing another card in his hand back into the deck. He'll then summon Dvarg, who then uses his ability to give Halldor a second normal summon. He'll tribute one of the Valkyries for Svaltaf of the Nordic Alfar, a level 5 tuner monster who will use its effect to add another Nordic from the graveyard back to the hand, so he'll recover Yosaf. And he'll enter the battle phase using his 1400 Svaltaf to swing over the 1300 Ouster, destroying it in the battle, and he'll end his turn. Crow flips up his face-down monster, Steam the Cloaked, a 800 attack point monster, who will then be sacrificed for the tribute summon of Hilin the Tengu Wind, a monster that came in absolutely clutch for him in the first round. But that's not all, because when Steam the Cloak goes from the field to the graveyard, he gets a Steam token to his side of the field, a level 1 100 attack and defense token monster, who will then be tuned with the level 5 Hilin the Tengu Wind for the level 6 Boreas Storm, the Wicked Wind, who will send the level 5 Boreas the Sharp from the deck to the graveyard in order to turn itself into a level 5, and he'll end his turn with his grave set with 2 of his best graveyard effect having monsters. Halldor will then summon Alvis of the Nordic Alfar, a level 4 monster, and he'll tune Alvis and Dvarg with Svaltaf to summon Odin, Father of the Aesir, with 4,000 attack and defense points. During Halldor's turn, he can use the ability of Odin to prevent all of his divine beast-type monsters from being affected by spells and traps, and any spell and traps that would affect the Aesir monsters get negated altogether. Entering the battle phase now with that effect put up, he swings over the Boreas Storm, crashing down on Crow with 1,600 points of damage, who has no other response on the final turn of Swords, so he plays nothing, sets nothing, and passes. Halldor will now summon the Yosaf that he recovered earlier and equip it with the Nordic relic Draupnir, bringing it up to 2,200 attack, and switching even the Valkyrie into attack mode. Valkyrie will attempt to attack directly for 400, but that is met with Hilin the Tengu Wind from the graveyard, who summons itself along with Steam the Cloaked from the graveyard. Valkyrie will swing into Steam the Cloak for some reason though, and then Yosaf will attack Steam the Cloak itself, which will then produce a Steam token, and Odin will destroy Hilin the Tengu Wind, so that is the last that Crow will be able to revive him, and during the end phase of this turn, the Cloak token dissolves and dissipates into the atmosphere. Crow's turn now. He sets a card and activates the Black Whirlwind even though his hand is empty. Black Whirlwind can add a Blackwing monster from his deck to the hand whenever he normal summons a Blackwing monster, but with no monsters to normal summon, very curious why he would activate that to begin with. However, for Halldor's turn, he'll go ahead and activate Odin's effect once again and sacrifice Valkyrie for another copy of Svaltaf, the Nordic Alfar, who will then recover for him the Dvarg so he can get 2 potential normal summons on the next turn. Odin will attempt to attack directly, and that will be met with the Black Wing trap card that was face down on Crow's side of the field. When an opponent declares an attack, he can banish a Blackwing from the graveyard to negate the attacks of monsters with 2,000 or more attack during this turn. And that's not an ability that directly affects the Aesir, I don't believe. He is successfully able to banish Hilin the Tengu Wind to prevent Odin from thundering down on him once more. That doesn't stop his other monsters from attacking though, so Svaltaf does 1,400 directly, and that triggers the Black Feather Beacon trap card, who can special summon a level 4 or lower Blackwing from the hand or deck whenever Crow takes any amount of damage. And here comes Hurricane the Tornado to the rescue! Hurricane the Tornado on summon can target a Synchro monster and copy its attack points. And since Odin only protects itself from spells and traps, Hurricane resolves successfully, bringing itself up to 4,000 attack as well. So Crow has his own Polar God that he gets to wield. Halldor will negate his attack, switch Alfar into defense mode, and end his turn. Crow sets a card face down and then activates Boreas the Sharp from the graveyard as well, banishing itself, protecting Crow's life points from battle this turn, and allowing Hurricane the Tornado to decimate any monster that it battles at the end of damage calculation. So the Father of Aesir has fallen! But only temporarily, because during the end phase of a turn that an Aesir monster is destroyed, They revive themselves from the great beyond, and he blesses Halldor with an extra card on his revival. Halldor draws for turns, normal summons the Varg of the Nordic Alfar, and uses its ability to get a second immediate normal summon of Tangrisnir of the Nordic Beast, before using Odin's ability now to set up his Divine Wall. And now we'll see the Varg and the Svaltaf and the Yolsaf hit the graveyard for Loki, the Lord of the Azure, with 3,300, who can use his ability to shut down a spell or a trap card that gets activated when he's attacking. Halldor also gets to use the ability of one of his Nordics in order to recover the Nordic relic Draupnir, thanks to the Varg that went from the field to the graveyard. And Draupnir can now equip itself to Odin to have it tower over even the tornado, even the hurricane, with 4,800 attack now. Attempting to destroy it, Crow will use the Black Sonic Trap card, which normally would banish the attack position monsters on Halldor's side of the field, but it won't hit anything, as since it would affect an Azure, Odin negates the trap card, and he is left wide open for an onslaught of attacks. Halldor redeems himself in this second round. And final round in this epic clash, and Halldor is finally taking the first move here. He's going to normal summon Yolsaf of the Nordic Alfar, who can special summon a monster from his hand as long as it's level 4 or lower, since that is Yolsaf's level on the field at the moment. And he will go ahead and bring out the Nordic Smith Ivaldi, who will summon forth a Nordic relic from his deck to his hand. So he grabs the Nordic relic Hilskjalf. Once again, Hilskjalf will special summon a Nordic monster from the deck, and he brings forth Vanadis of the Nordic Ascendant to help him ascend into the might of the Polar Gods, changing its level by dumping the Mara of the Nordic Alfar from the deck. Vanadis becomes a level 2 tuner, tuning the level 4 Yolsaf and Ivaldi for the great Odin, father of the Azure, once again. He sets a card and pass it over to Crow for his first move. And Crow hard draws Blackwing Hurricane the Tornado to copy the Polar God once again, bringing his 4,000 might over to Crow's side of the field. Crow will then special summon Gale the Whirlwind since he has a Blackwing on his side. But he'll special summon it in defense mode because, as we know, the Polar Gods can revive themselves during the end phase, so he doesn't want to leave himself too wide open here. But he will be using Gale's ability to cut Odin's attack and defense in half, since he cannot be protected by monster effects, and his effect isn't a quick effect. Now with Odin sitting at 2,000, Crow's Odin will swing into it, but will be stopped by the Raging Sacred Curse Trap card, who reduces the Hurricane the Tornado's attack points by 2,000 since there's an Azure monster on Halldor's side of the field, meaning this battle ends in a suicide, with both monsters being destroyed. Not for long though, because Odin will revive himself, bringing himself down to our mortal realm from the heavens and blessing Halldor with an additional card. It is Halldor's turn now. For his turn, he's going to draw his card and activate the Hilskjalf from the graveyard, banishing itself in order to give him a Nordic monster from the deck to the hand, and then shuffle a card from the hand back into the deck. And he adds Alvis of the Nordic Alfar. Odin will activate his ability, setting up his Divine Wall to protect himself just in case before entering the battle, and easily stomps out Gale the Whirlwind, leaving Crow's field empty and barren. Crow will just T-set and pass his turn. Odin sets up the wall again, and Halldor activates Götterdämmerung. This spell card targets an Azure monster on his side of the field and gives control of it to the opponent. Then, during the opponent's next end phase, that Azure monster gets destroyed, and all cards on Crow's side of the field will be removed from the game. He's not even attempting to destroy whatever the face-down monster is, because he would rather make sure that Crow never gets to use its grave effects if it had any. Once Odin is on Crow's side of the field, Halldor activates the Swords of Revealing Light, preventing the player from being able to attack for 3 whole turns, also revealing any face-down monsters on his side of the field. So we see that the set monster was Ouster the South Wind with 0 defense points. So, with that knowledge, Halldor will summon Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendant
pitching the last 2 cards in his hand to activate her ability to summon 2 tokens to his side of the field, who he then can use to synchro summon Thor, Lord of the Azure. We have 2 Azures on the field now. Thor destroys Ouster the Southwind since he has no effects that he is afraid of, and he ends his turn. And Götterdämmerung will not get to activate its ability because Crow sacrifices Odin to tribute summon Blackwing Zonda the Dusk. And since it wasn't destroyed, Odin will not be able to revive itself. Now we'll see Zonda the Dusk get rid of the second Azure monster with his ability, because on the summon, Zonda the Dusk can target a monster on the field and return it to the hand. He's not done yet though, because he gets to summon out Vata the Emblem of Wandering as well, since he controls another Blackwing on his side of the field. Vata the Emblem is going to activate its ability now. During the main phase, you can send Vata the Emblem of Wandering from the field to the graveyard, along with 1 or more Blackwing monsters from the deck in order to do a synchro summon of the Black Winged Dragon from the extra deck. This will also get chained with the Black Boost. Because Crow has 2 or more Blackwings on his field, he gets to draw 2 extra cards. And now, Vata will tune with Chinook the Snow Blast as well as Zephyros the Elite for the Black Winged Dragon, his Signer Dragon. Setting a card, Crow ends for the first turn under Swords. Halldor sets a monster and passes with no other cards in his hand. And just as we saw before, Crow will pitch Hillen the Tengu Wind for the Black Winged Strafe to get rid of the face-down defense position monster. Crow will then summon Jetstream the Blue Sky, who is useless on the field but has a great clutch ability in the hand. And don't worry, it'll be going back to the hand, because by bouncing it and taking 400 points of damage, Crow can revive Zephyros the Elite that he pitched earlier. But Blackwing Dragon will protect him from the effect damage, placing a Black Feather counter on itself, also reducing its attack points by the same amount of damage that it prevented, which in this instance is 400 points of damage. Now, with the 3 monsters on his side of the field, he has a threatening presence. Halldor is not too worried yet though, because he top decks Nordic Smith Ivaldi, who will search for a Nordic relic, and he grabs the trap card Svalin and ends his turn. And since it's the end phase of the turn after Zephyros the Elite has used its ability, it gets destroyed once again. And at the beginning of Crow's turn, Halldor activates the Nordic relic Svalin, sacrificing a Nordic monster on his side of the field to revive Odin, Father of the Azure. Crow will then normal summon the Jetstream the Blue Sky in order to trigger Zephyros once again, in order to trigger the Black Winged Dragon once again, and eliminate the Azure monster once again with the trap card, Black Return. When exactly a singular Blackwing monster gets special summoned in attack mode, he gets to target a face-up monster on the opponent's field, gain life points equal to its attack points, and then return it to the hand, or in this case, to the extra deck. 12,000 life points to his name. Not a single duelist has lost a single point of life in this match so far, but it has been a relentless back and forth. Crow sets another card, summons Jetstream, and does not use Zephyros this time as he enters the battle phase, swinging directly with his Zonda the Dusk. Zonda the Dusk, however, will now be spawned on Halldor's field thanks to the ability of the Golden Apples, who summons a Malice token to copy the monster that just did damage to him, as well as recover the life points lost. So with this massive 2300 body, he walls out the Black Winged Dragon and, of course, the Jetstream the Blue Sky. Not to worry though, because now in main phase 2, Crow will activate the Zephyros the Elite to send back Jetstream and have Black Winged Dragon absorb another 400 points of damage, making it even weaker than the Malice token. But it will use its ability now, reflecting all of the damage that it's absorbed onto the Malice token. And now Crow can end his turn with 2,800 back on his Black Winged Dragon's body. Halldor top decks the Davag and uses it to link summon the Link 1 Gulveig of the Nordic Ascendant, who can banish up to 3 cards from Halldor's hand and or field to summon Nordic monsters for either protection for their effects or for a synchro summon. And Davag's ability will activate, recovering a Nordic relic from his graveyard to the hand. This will get met though with the Gulveig vanishing itself, the Malice token, and the mighty trap power of the Nordic relic Svalin in order to summon the Nordic Spick Ivaldi, the Nordic Beast Gullinbarsti, and Alvis of the Nordic Alfar. 2 level 4s and a level 3 tuner. And you know what that means, but first, Ivaldi's effect will activate to get a second copy of the Svalin trap card to revive Azure monsters from the graveyard, as well as negate the abilities of the opponent's face-up cards while he controls Azure monsters. Halldor will also activate the ability of the Nordic beast Kulimbarsti, adding a Nordic monster from his graveyard to the hand, and he'll recover the Valkyrie for later on, not going to a synchro as he wants to maintain some sort of bodies, and he'll end his turn. Crow will summon Jetstream and use the Zephyros combo once again at the start of this turn, and have the Blackwing Dragon reflect that immediately onto the attack lines of all monsters on the opponent's side of the field, which isn't relevant in this case since they're all in defense mode. And Crow will activate the Raptor Wing Strike, shuffling any Blackwing monster on his field to grab any Blackwing monster from the deck. And I think I know where he's going with this, as Crow will send back Zonda the Dusk on his side of the field in order to search Zonda the Dusk back from his deck to the hand and tribute the Zephyros the Elite for Zonda the Dusk so that he can remove another monster on the field, and he'll send back Alvis as it does have a graveyard effect. Now he'll use Zephyros the Elite again in order to recover his Zonda the Dusk and likely have the Blackwing Dragon absorb this 400 points of damage too, which it cannot reflect at this moment, so it'll simply enter the battle phase. And with the 2 monsters on Crow's side of the field, he has eliminated the 2 monsters on Halldor's side of the field. In terms of presence, this has been incredibly one-sided, but maybe not anymore, because now Halldor will normal summon Valkyrie of the Nordic Ascendant, pitching the 2 final cards in his hand for 2 more level 4 tokens to revive Odin, the father of the Azure! Entering the battle phase, Odin will attack the Blackwing Dragon, and Halldor flips over the Megan Jord trap card to double him from 4 to 8,000 attack points. And it goes through successfully, so Crow takes 5,600, which would be an absolutely devastating blow if he hadn't recovered life points earlier, so he sits at 6,400, well above the safety line. Not only that, but since he took over 2,000 points of battle damage, Healing the Tengu Wind activates from the graveyard once again, in tandem with the Black Feather Beacon to summon a monster from the deck, as well as Healing and another monster from the graveyard. So we see Gale the Whirlwind, Healing the Tengu Wind, and a second Gale the Whirlwind, all flood Crow's side of the field to replace the Black-Winged Dragon, who fought so honorably throughout this duel. And you know how this next part goes, as Crow tribute summons Zonda the Dusk again, removing Odin from the field. However, we finally see Svalin activate and use its ability. Since Halldor has an Azure monster on his side of the field, the effects of every single face-up card that Crow has is negated. However, Svalin will not be able to use its other effect during this turn, and Crow's abilities all return to him at the end phase. However, this doesn't negate the abilities of monsters in the graveyard though. So Crow will go ahead and activate Zephyros the Elite, going ahead and reviving itself, and finally taking the 400 itself, before tuning the level 4 Zephyros with the level 3 Gale for the level 7 Black-Winged Armor Master, and evolving it with the second Gale for the Black-Winged Full Armor Master! And cycling all the way back to his Alster the Southwind, it banished itself from the graveyard to place a wedge counter on every single face-up monster on Halldor's side of the field. And with these wedge counters, the Full Armor Master can steal all of the monsters that Halldor controls. And I know what you're thinking, but Svalin negates the abilities of all face-up cards that Crow controls. How will he even use the effect of the Full Armor Master? That's because the Blackwing Full Armor Master has the effect that says that he is completely unaffected by any and every other card effect. So Svalin does nothing to him. The wedge counter from the graveyard is placed onto Odin, and the Father of the Azure now serves Crow the Trick Master. Battle phase, Zonda attacks, Blackwing Full Armor Master attacks, and Odin swings for game. Crow has won the match.